Hello and welcome back to the channel. Brandon Davidson, and I am the owner of Davidson Audio, where we specialize solely in the Indian motorcycle audio solutions for the rider. And in today's video, this is something I've been waiting on to do for quite a long time, and that is installing our bolt-on rake kit for our 2019 Indian Chieftain shop bike. This rake kit allows you to install either a 23-inch normal front tire or a 21.55 fat tire. And as you can tell, we did get this rake kit powder coated to match the powder coat that we've already done on the bike. And we also picked up this rake kit from the folks over at Vic Baggers. They hooked us up, they sent this over here, so that way we can get it installed on our bike. So enough talking, let's go over what's included in this kit, get it installed on our bike, so that way hopefully when it's time for you all to install a rake kit on your bike, this video will help you through the process. All right, to start the installation of the rake kit, you have to first remove the fairing, the inner fairing completely to expose the forks, the triple tree assembly, and then some other stuff that we have to take off. And in this video, I'm not gonna go over how to get to this point because we did a complete disassembly video to get you to this point already. So if you want to find that video and help you get to this part, we'll put a link up in the corner or a thumbnail to that previous video that will help you get to this point. So once you have removed the outer fairing, the windshield and all of that, and you've gotten to this point, there's only 3 tools that you really need, which will be a ratchet. I'm using an electric one, a 13mm socket, a 10mm, and a panel clip removal tool. And the reason you need these is because in order to pull this whole inner fairing assembly off, all you have to do is remove some wiring connections, and all of this comes off in one piece. So primarily there is a main wiring harness here. Yeah, it's just this main wiring harness here. The rest of it all stays with the fairing. So what I like to do first is take my panel removal tool, and there's a couple of clips along the top to get these harnesses off and out. So you'll just come over here, remove this tab already, so that comes off. Then up here, just to expose that. And then you're gonna pop this one off right there. Let's see if we can leave that one on there. Now, these 2 connectors right here are going to go to your factory power unit that sits up here for the OEM audio. That can stay in here because it's part of this harness. That is all attached to the fairing, so that there can stay. This one right here goes to the handlebars, so you're going to want to take that off. This little one can stay. This is your temperature sensor. Let's take this one, push it up out of our way. Okay, so just pretty much just follow these harnesses. So this one is staying. This is the one primarily we're trying to get loose. So here again, this would be here. So just pop it down or pop it loose. Take this wiring connection off. This one can stay part of it. And we're hunting this wire here, which is here. This is part of the OEM right hand auxiliary lights. The turn signal wiring is off as well, so we'll fish that through. All right, so we've got all of this. I stand corrected. The temperature sensor does have to come off. It is part of this harness. Over here, same thing, turn signal, auxiliary lights, and this little guy, which that little connector is a auxiliary light switch. So now at this point, this one's gonna go. This is the one that goes to the switches on the dash piece. So really you could just unplug it and set it aside. This one's staying. This one's staying, so let's go ahead and fish it through. Staying. Just double check all your wires just to make sure. Then you're going to want to disconnect your antenna. I'm pulling mine out of the bike. So at this point, we can go ahead and remove the 4 13mm bolts, nuts here, and pull the whole outer fairing or inner fairing off. Now these are, like I said, a nylon lock nut with a washer. So when you go to pull these off, there are 4 studs. But what you have to watch out for is these do like to rotate back a little bit, so it could fall down. So when you're doing it, just make sure you get somebody that can help you put their hands here or just help you hold the fairing on until you're ready to pull it off. I like to start with the bottom ones first and then go to the top ones, working my way from the bottom up and then out and in. As I said, a washer with a nylon lock nut, and there is a rubber bushing in here with a metal spacer stud in there. So as you saw when I first popped this nut off, everything stayed, but as soon as I pulled it off, the fairing shifted back. So as you can see, this side is barely touching. These two, they're in there, but this one's holding it. So at this point, I'm gonna get my assistant here to help me pull this off. We're gonna pull the whole fairing off, and that will expose the rest of the stuff, and then we'll get working back from there. All right, so at this point, the inner fairing assembly is completely removed, and we're at the point where I'm gonna now want to pull off the handlebars. I'm not gonna loosen them and take them off individually. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 2 studs off here to remove them completely. But to do that, I do want to get the brake reservoir off and the clutch off. So we're going to cut these zip ties. I'm just going to remove these completely off there and set them aside so that we can just pull the bars off and I don't have to readjust them. The controls and everything are where I want them. So let's go ahead and do that. That should be, I'm pretty sure, 4mm, and then those will come off. So I stand corrected, these are a 5mm, not a 4. And we're also going to go ahead and take this bolt off here, which is holding the clutch cable through. So we're going to take that off first. I'm just going to go ahead and put this screw right back in. Put that in there so I don't lose it. So what we have to do there is use a T20 and remove the clutch connector there, wiring connection. So now let's go ahead and get this back on here so we don't lose anything. And right here behind the upper triple tree mount, there is another 5mm that holds the clutch line on, so we're gonna remove that. That way we can set the reservoir aside. Make sure you don't let it tilt over because brake fluid is extremely abrasive and it will eat whatever it touches. Now at this point, everything else is removed. We can go ahead and get these handlebars removed. So let's see. I don't know what size this is. Let's grab a socket. It's a 19mm.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So do not do what I just did and allow those just to flop over. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought there were studs in there that held them in there, but when you go to take this off, make sure you have somebody helping you so that way they can hold it while you break those free and take them off. I'm not going to go into super depth detail on this because in our 2155 wheel test fit and install video, we showed you all of what it took to remove the fender and the wheel with the brakes. But just a quick recap, you're going to need a 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch drive, ratchets or wrenches, or we got the electric ratchets, sorry. And then from there, you're going to need a 6, 8, and 14mm Allen socket because that's what we need to remove these. Quick recap, 6mm is to remove the fender with the 2 locking nuts here on the axle. The 8mm, there's 2 on each caliper mounting bracket, and the 14 is the axle itself. And what we didn't have in the last video, these are caliper hangers. They're just metal hanger or rods with plastic out, rubberish plastic on the outside to protect stuff. So let's go ahead and get this zipped off real quick. All right, now it's time to loosen up the triple tree clamps, the upper and the lower, so we can pull the fork tubes off along with these fork tube. I'm guessing these are guards. And then before we forget, I also want to take this bracket off that holds the front brake line distribution block right here on. So you're going to need a T45 Torx socket and a T30 as well. The T45 will be, there's 2 bolts up here, 1 on each side, and then there's 2 here and 2 here on the back side to loosen up the triple tree clamps to slide the fork tubes out. And then the T30, there's 2 underneath here, and then 2 up here on each side, which will take these off, and then these 2 will take off the distribution. So let's get it all loose. All right, folks, don't do what I just did. So I did take a 1 1/4 inch socket, which fit around the rim, and they were sliding out. It took a lot of force. But then after looking at it again, you can just take a pry bar, wedge it in the top and the bottom clamp, and then you can bring these right on out. So that's what we're gonna do this time. So let's get this one. A lot better. All it did is just a little bit of marring here, but the best way to, I'm going to say, to go about it is remove the bolts, get in here, wedge them open just a little bit more, work your way on all 4 of them, so that way, like you saw the second time, I just moved them and they slid right on down. So let's get these 4 T25s or the 30s? T30s, and get these fork tube guards off. Like I said, there's 2 on each side. And the 2 on the bottom that hold on the brake line and distribution. Let's go and put them right on back in. And now it is time to actually get the triple tree removed off of the bike. All right, to disassemble the triple tree clamps, the upper and the lower, we're going to start by removing the center nut here, and that will be a 30 millimeter. We're going to use our half inch impact to help us get this off. Remove the nut. There's a washer in there, but this should just, yep. There's a thin washer there. We're going to set that there, leave that in there. And there is a lock that we'll be transferring over to our new triple tree, so we'll set this aside. And now we have a spanner nut, which I need to find a wrench for. So this off, this isn't the ideal way. We're gonna use a punch just to get this off. And then I'm gonna take this to go purchase the correct socket to get this back on. So let's go get that. So we're just gonna use a punch. I would not do this on a customer's bike, but we're gonna just do this to get it loose, and then I will let you know exactly what size spanner wrench to get for this. And then from here, it will just slide right on down. Now it is time to get this stuff cleaned up, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to take the factory race out of here and then get our new bearing pressed onto here. And I think we're using the factory bushing or bearing up here too, so let's get over and show you what's included in the new kit, and then we will get that installed on the bike. Now that we have the bike fully disassembled off the OEM parts, minus there is a race right here we need to punch out, but I need to go pick up some a different punch, and then I need to take the new rake kit down, get the new bearing pressed on. But before all that, I want to take a quick moment. Let's go over what's included with this rake kit. And again, this is a simple bolt-on neck rake kit. So all of this is for a 23 normal big wheel or a 21.55 fat tire, which is what we have. So the rake is accomplished through the triple trees. They change the angles just a little bit to get it a little further out and get the right geometry for that larger diameter wheel circumference. Sorry, because again, it's a circle. Anyhow, so in this new rake kit, you are going to get a lower triple tree section, and with the main, column here. And with the kit, it comes with the bottom, the 2 bolts for the clamps, and the 2 new machine bolts for the bottom, which holds on this brake distribution for the front brakes. So, and then obviously it's got the 2 holes for the fairing bolts, and then it's got these 2 holes which hold on the fork tube cowbells, they call them. They're those metal tubes that come, or shields that come down to help protect the forks. Then you have the upper triple tree mounting bracket, or upper triple tree. So again, just simple fork tubes. These are for the handlebar risers, and this is the center hole to install back onto the center shaft. And on here, you see we have this little because it goes like this. This is the brake line right here. It comes around and it bolts to here. These 2 bolts that are provided with the kit are for the fork locking mechanism. This is the front. So this is where the fairing is going to bolt back onto it. The 2 clamp bolts. And then this is going to be for something. Not entirely sure what. I'm actually pretty sure now that we're going to take this off. And we're going to put it back here because on the OEM ones, I did not take anything off the front from what I remember. So we'll get to that a little bit later, see that that is used. Then you're going to get these 2 nice machine spacers. These are going to get pressed into here and here. And then we're going to transfer over the handlebar riser bushings into these so that way we can bolt our bars back onto it. They also provide 4 studs for the fairing to install back onto. And then it comes with this all ball bearing. So the only thing that's going to be used in this kit is, so in this kit it comes with 2 different size shims. We're not going to be using either of these. It comes with this like washer with a rubber gasket. We are going to be using this because this is going to go onto the neck first. This is going to come all the way down, seat at the bottom. And then what we need to do is, it comes with this bearing and race. So the race right here is what the bearing rides in, like this. So this race is, we're going to punch the OEM one out, and then we're going to press this one in, which, a little quick trick, this is already too warm now, but we're gonna take this and go put it back in the freezer. It does help shrink them just a smidge to make it easier to tap into here. So we're gonna go put that back in the freezer. But this bearing here, we are going to pack this bearing and press it onto here. So essentially what has to happen is that's going to go all the way down to the bottom. I can hold this with one hand. And then this bearing is going to get pressed right on there. So that way, once this is bolted in, this rubber gasket collet will seat in here and help prevent the grease from just squeezing out. So at this point, that is the entire kit. we're gonna head down to my buddy's shop, pack this bearing, press it on here, get his punch, and then we are going to come back and get this all assembled and get it completed for y'all. Well, so this runs us into a little bit of a dilemma. So I shot this video originally and was like, we're gonna do the whole thing, make it one video, it shouldn't be that bad. Everybody's got the attention span, they can watch this video and it'd be good to go. Well, guess what? I was wrong. Video ended up being way too long. And I know I'm not trying to bore you all with one long video. I think it was close to like an hour long. So myself and Nate made the ultimate decision. Let's cut it in half. We'll do a disassembly portion, and then we'll do a second part that is the reassembly portion. So the next question you might be asking yourself is, well, Brandon, why is your bike back together? Well, guess what? That video, we shot it like weeks ago. So that being said, this wraps up part 1, which is the disassembly of our 2019 Indian Chieftain. So this video should be the same for 19 to newer Chieftains and Roadmasters. And in part 2, we're gonna go ahead and punch that race out, get the HHI Rake kit reinstalled, get the bike reassembled. So that way, in a short couple of videos, we're gonna get the wheel set installed and get this baby out on the road. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know that was a lot, and I know that was kind of confusing on what's going on in part 1 and part 2. Hopefully I cleared that up and you enjoyed this video like I just said. And please stay tuned for next week where, as I said, we're gonna be reassembling this bike and getting it back on the road with our brand new SMT machining 2155 fat tire and matching OEM size rear wheel. Sorry, I'm a little excited. I'm ready to get riding on these wheels. So thank you again, Brandon Davidson of Davidson Audio, and I'm out.